I hope you guys caught my Nelson video post. If you didn't know, the Nelson twins are the sons of the very famous and was on the very famous and popular television show, Ozzie and Harriet, Mr. Ricky Nelson, who later in life became popular for his song Garden Party, right? Away from his Ozzie and Harriet boy next door, right? And all those, type of Elvis songs that they wanted him to do when he was younger and stuff. Anyway, kind of cool that some of his lineage carried on the musical part of the family business there. And you know what's even funnier? I posted that not 7 East, Head East. I think they're from this area somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but anyway, the Head East video, never been any reason. That guy, his hair looks very, him and should get together with that hair. But in a moment in time, like when that was happening, right? Like technically that's not gonna happen now. And plus that Head East video was like 10 years old, I think, at Ribco, which is Rock Island Brewing Company, which I believe is like closing down or for sale. I don't know if anybody bought that. So it is technically a venue. There's been some other groups that have toured through, but that Head East had that very popular Never Been Any Reason song. There were other Head East songs as well, but that was one of their most famous ones. So I thought it was just kind of funny. So hair may be significant for somebody in this reading that's watching this reading. You may have blonde hair as well, like the Nelson twins. Like me, I lighten it sometimes, or like my natural is like a little bit lighter. I kind of I jazz up the brown to make it, but I don't do highlights as much as in my hair anymore, just because it that bleach strips since I have color on my hair now. But if I wanted to, I could grow that all out. You know what I mean? English with Indian, hello. Doing well today. I'm guessing you speak the English, even though you are Indian. Interesting. El Diablo wanting to come out in reverse. So no tricks for anybody in the collective today. It's like, it's a beautiful day. We're going out celebrating. I just heard somebody say we're going streaking. I guess if that's your there's no PG streaking. Anyway, I wasn't alive for that one of the Oscars, but that always made the Oscar history real, right? And then I believe there was anyway. So Capricorn may be significant as well, but I feel like for a lot of you, whatever it is, it's kind of like, yeah, not today, Satan. You're just like, you could be running into your ex-husband and his new wife that like is so cute and everything, and you're just like, I hope you guys are having a great day. You know what I mean? It's just not today, Satan. You don't care at that level. You know what I mean? So you might want to listen to that song Garden Party, because there's a nice point to that song, and part of the lyric is you can't please everyone. You've got to please yourself. There was a meme I reposted from Albion 11 Energy, and it said, the older I get, I realize that, pleasing everyone is impossible, but pissing everybody off is super easy. Right? It's always, so be strong, right? One of my Facebook friends posted about this too. Hi, Lano, if you're watching. Somebody's always got something to say, to pick apart at, make fun of, blah, blah. Oh my God, look at what she's doing with her hair today. Whatever, right? I've talked about this before on my channel, having a thick skin. So this Leo, part of the reason, people always say, oh, Leo, so confident, blah, blah. Well, that comes with learning how to, they may look, right, but kind of like my dog. Sometimes, some dogs she'll bark at, but other ones she'll be like, all right. And it's like, really? Like that one? I'm surprised at you. You know what I mean? So, I'm not saying you have to, laboriously dig deep, but it's just kind of that, oh my God, we're not going back to that spot where it's bothering us because we've already learned, right? Kind of thing. I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm trying to tell you what you believe is false because you made it up or you just heard some cute guy say it or read a name on the Facebook timeline. Soul Reaper. Gee, maybe you need to have your own channel, Soul Reaper. Why are you over here? You know what I mean? It's just sometimes I just don't understand what y'all are even doing over here, to be honest. So yeah. I can't live without your love and affection. That is the Nelson as well. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Again, some of these real churchy bitchy types that it's like if you're not quoting the Bible, and it's like, can I, just like go to the fucking pisser without you shitting all over it? Right? This is when you need to tell these people, this is my space. I'm not having it. Right? And they can exit. So that's what I did to whoever that person is. You know what I mean? So, well, I will say I had some relatives that were in the armed forces, and you know how those drill sergeants look to be. Sorry if you weren't awake or that came across a little loud, but oh, when you're on an airfield, a Navy pilot, you don't think it sounds like goddamn dogs barking out there. That's why they made those bullhorns, make them even louder. Some of this video screen and TV stuff and you know what? Kids are supposed to be loud. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I have German ancestry, but I don't participate in that aspect of German culture of if you move a chair, right, your neighbor's going to get mad. Because, yeah, this is the United States of America, if you haven't. Right? And we get to listen to Nelson and Ricky Nelson and whoever the hell we want without the USSR telling us, here, you can have this tape and you can have this tape. That's what it was like over there, folks. They had to smuggle in tapes, blue jeans, when I'll just say foreigners for lack of a better term, right? When the foreigners that I worked with, this is interesting because I just happened to, I took the dog for a walk. There were some food trucks downtown. It happened to be at the company I used to work for. I didn't end up stopping at the food trucks because there were some long lines. I was just, I didn't want to wait on that. But it was an international corporation, and some of the foreigners, when they'd come over to work, I mean, they would buy an extra suitcase and shove their, suitcases full of clothes, electronics, whatever they get their hands on, because overseas, okay? So, sometimes thinking somebody else has it so great, and it's like, if you kind of just stop for a second, right, little Ferris Bueller, you kind of stop, it's like, it's a beautiful day. Just gotta stop for a second, right? I did mail off my taxes today. Well, back to the accountant anyway. I didn't prepare myself. I do know how to prepare taxes. Talk about devil in the details, right? I actually studied in town at the ladies down at the Jackson Hewitt office taught me. But then I started a new job, and I decided I didn't want to do both at the same time because they wanted me to stay on and then help prepare people's taxes. And I was like, I just got offered this other position. you know. So I was kind of sad to disappoint them, but then I was able to do my own taxes, you guys, for like what, the next 10 years or so. You know what I mean? And like not just have to do the easy 40, like I could, you know what I mean? Like I had stuff figured out, right? Although when you actually work there, you don't have to file out like you're typing stuff. You know, it's kind of like a TurboTax kind of thing. So anyway, if oh, here's Ryan, a real hater. You're an absolute nobody. Bah ha ha. Shorty, you're never gonna make it on YouTube in real life. You'll stay a nobody forever. Keep dreaming. Now ban me, comma, you BIT. Well, there's a difference between a bit and a bite, and I don't think Ryan knows what either one of those are. You know, so yeah. Your wish is granted by the jinn. Okay? So sometimes it gets spicy. Right? Here's the thing, you guys. Some people, it's just that's their speed. It's haterade. You're gonna run into haterade season. And you know what? For me, that's not a very mentally stimulating place to be. So that's why I choose to, right? Rebuke that energy. You know, or if you see somebody, it's kind of like, I don't know if I want to even talk to them, they just, just like a peace sign. You know, you said hello. Maybe you're just not in the mood to talk to nobody. Maybe you're on a schedule. Right? There's all sorts of reasons why you can be doing whatever it is besides what they want you to be doing. Right? We are trying to get you to see what you believe is nonsense and the answer, but you think you know everything and everything's about you. You do. You boo, you're such an oracle. Somebody, Rajesh, India. Guys, these trolls today are getting pretty thick, aren't they? You know what this means. New levels, new devils, right? That just means you're getting more popular and people have to come over here and try and hate on something that's more popular than what they have going on, basically. You know what I mean? So I mean, some people don't even have chats available. I do have a chat available on my channel because there are people who know how to behave. Apparently, not today's Satan, though, right? The little devils are out. Little gremlins. You guys ever see that movie in the 80s? Gremlins? There was like, I think I made like 4 or 5 Gremlins movies due to the popularity. It's set in like a blue collar town. I want to say it's kind of like in Pennsylvania somewhere. Somebody says, I am from Tibet and China. That's wonderful. I have not been to either of those places. Do you remember Ghostbusters from 1984 with Dan Aykroyd? I can't believe he's 73 years old. You know, I loved his character in that Ghost, Ray. His name was Ray. Yeah. And there was smoking those cigarettes in the movie. They're just like hanging out. And there's like, Ray, and his cigarettes hanging out. Oh, and he's like seeing this ghost, you know. That's a great choice. Like, so I mentioned Ferris Bueller earlier. Ghostbusters, another great, like, if you had the day off or like, you know, it's kind of windy out, so then it's like, maybe I'm not going to hang outside, you know, but maybe I can have the windows open and, you know, pop on a movie like that, you know, or like the Goonies or something like that. Yeah, 9 of Cups. Sticking to what makes you happy, right? You're saying, not today, whatever chaos, monster, blah, blah, blah. And here's the thing, collective, some of this chaos, it is what they've created, right? They're like, I can't believe they're walking around so happy. I divorced them. They should be... It's It's like, God forbid anyone goes on and lives a happy friggin' life. Right? Like, shouldn't you want the parent of your child to be happy with somebody else so then they're good to your kid and good to the rest of their community? And I mean, but a lot of people don't think like that, right? So, collective, what you've already done is you've already taken tally of what's really important emotionally, right? And how you're going to move forward out of the chaotic ways of others that have nothing to do with you anymore, right? You may have been involved with these people for whatever reason. Like I mentioned, I was, around a place in my former employment. I didn't happen to run into anybody I knew. It was like free, open to the public, the big event thing. So I had my dog down there, which they had plenty of folks there, and my dog got some extra pets, you know. And then she wanted to keep walking down it, and it's like, no, I have to get some food in me. You know what I mean? So, because the objective was maybe seeing where, food trucks. I thought the food trucks were going to be kind of parked on the street level, but they were all like up these stairs and stuff. And, I did see a wheelchair ramp in the front, but on the back of the building, it was like all stairs. So it was kind of, I don't know, whatever. But my dog didn't care. She like had me, I was leaping, like skipping every other step to get up these steps as the dog was like pulling, just pulling me up. You guys, I'm in my 40s, okay? Like, okay. Anyway, Two of Swords. So, collective, you might sense that there's somebody around you that is wanting to communicate, but isn't exactly saying, because it's the blindfold is on, so it's either they're not willing yet, or they're not sure if you'd be willing. Whatever it is, it's kind of some kind of hidden message that almost like they're hoping you're just going to run into it and you're going to find out and they don't have to tell you. If that makes sense, whatever that message might be. Okay. I don't know, you guys. I'm getting some. Okay. You have the Lovers on the bottom. So, again, like I mentioned, this could have been a former lover. You know what I mean? Like you're running into the. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're going to your local, Texas Roadhouse or Chili's or whatever, right? And like, maybe you're trying to go on a date with somebody, but it's not like, maybe the best date already, but whatever. Like you're going to try and like have a good time or whatever. And then all of a sudden you see all the, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things. Okay. And I feel like you're okay, and where you're at, you realize that you might be experiencing some awkwardness, but again, you're kind of like, so what? That's part of life. So it's kind of like whatever this person wants to say to you, it's like they want to comment on it, but they realize and see that you're still like making the best of it, or you know what I mean? Like maybe you're just somebody who's nervous for the first time meeting somebody, or just being set up in general, or meeting somebody from internet. Like maybe you're at the Chili's bar. Like maybe once you get one of them, get one of those El Presidentes down or whatever, right? Then you might you know what I mean? And then you're just kind of like convert somebody, right? Without the right? So I feel like somebody wants to try and like make some kind of cutting comment here. But it's kind of like, it's like, why are they concerned about what you're doing anyway if they're so happy? There's some folks that like to leave comments on my social media, and it's like, man, it's like I thought they were practically married with like 4 kids. They got an awful lot of time to be commenting on my social media. Just saying. Last I checked, they weren't getting paid to leave comments. But there are, you know, that's part of trolls. Some of them they get money off of this, right? So it could be something like that where it's like they're trying to get the information from somebody else or get it back to, you know what I mean? Like where they can say, oh, well, I know so and so, and she said this to him on social media. So yeah, they're a real whoa, whoa, right? That whatever, right? Trying to like get you into this web of whatever they're trying to weave. And you're like, man, that is not a good weave, bro. Like, you might need to go to there. Like, do you need a number of a good stylist? I can hook you up. All right. This person could have some Gemini in their chart as well. And like, I know Gemini's get a lot of hate and stuff, but remember that the Lover's card is also Gemini. Okay, so, you know, as much as we can be overindulgent in love, people get overindulgent in the other kind, right? And then it's like, it's kind of like this one dude that we were hanging out with one time, and after anybody said anything, he's like, yeah, that's what I would do. You know what I mean? He just had some. But yeah, we have our own choices, right? And at a certain point, you're going to be the person saying, like, yeah, that's not what I would be doing. Yeah, that's not what I'm doing. You know. Oh, again, I'm gonna have to post that song. The name of the song is The Walker. Okay, and it's that melody. Da, 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 da. I think they came out in late 2000s or something. They performed down the riverfront. I think I went to the show. It was them and somebody else, I'm pretty sure. I wonder, Mr. Bender, have you seen the rest of the Ghostbusters? Tibet and China. Cora, I don't know what that means, so I'm not gonna say that. Also, fishing may be pertinent for somebody. It's starting to warm up, so people might be getting out there doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. Is there a better time to go fishing than when the Five of Wands shows up and you're just kind of like, yeah, I'll be out of here. Bertha by the Grateful Dead may come to mind on that, right? Yeah. When it's just like, what kind of tangled mess yet again? Because some folks, that's just their speed. You walk away, you come back, they're gonna be doing the same thing. And some of the folks just don't have time for it. Now they'll want to guilt see again. They'll be like, yeah, but we're family. Yeah, but we're friends. Yeah, but we have this in common. But in the end of the day, you got to say to yourself, how is that helping you? Because sometimes it's more about these folks getting helped and then they don't care even what happens to you. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not so that you can get help in return. It's just like, because it's so competitive, right? It becomes about who's on top, not about what we're even doing here, right? You ever come upon a boxing match or something, and it's like, who's winning? It's like, I don't know, they're just fighting, right? And it's like, is that the type of exhaustion? And it doesn't have to be physical exhaustion, it can be mental exhaustion. For some people, that may be, a lot of people, like during the Lent season, they'll do like a social media cleanse. He'll be like, I'm not gonna, be on this account for, however many days. There's famous authors promoting their books on social media, saying, shut off your social media. Which I find that in itself very humorous. I'm not saying the guy doesn't have some points, but he was on Lewis Howes, or however you say his name, the ex-football player guy. Look at him. There was a path for him, right? But now he's on a different path that isn't about him physically wearing his body out or mentally banging his brains out about why his body can't keep up with somebody that's 10 years younger than him. We're using our noggin. Okay? Just like I use this channel, I can reach a lot more people. You know what I mean? It's just... So, obviously with the common interest. So, if those folks aren't there to promote that common interest, you have to ask yourself, why are they there? What's the purpose for them interfering? Okay. Also remember, you can file an extension if you haven't filed your taxes yet. So, you know what I'm saying. Don't freak out. Just go see an accountant. Okay? It's going to be okay. I happen to have an accountant that I trust, and you know what I mean? Yeah. And part of that is because I know they understand, it's like going to a psychologist and then them trying to understand your 1040. It's not going to work. Stop explaining to those people things that they can't understand. Go to the experts. Go to the pros. I saw a priest on my walk today. Well, I think he was a priest. I don't know. He was rather young. Some of the different, religions do the collars too, the reverends and stuff. So since he was so young, this guy, I just couldn't mouth the words like, hi, Father. You know what I mean? Because Catholics were, that's, a greeting of respect to, the priest of the cloth in our church. And yes, there are many tarot readers and oracles and psychics who have been raised in churches that still attend church even. Okay? Some of them have branched out and created their own ministries. A lot of people don't like that because then it takes power away from it. You know what? Again, some of these people that are so hell-bent on getting on these tarot channels and criticizing from a religious, biblical perspective. And there's a lot of us out here that even quote scripture on these goddamn things. Okay? So anybody that's interested in that can then go and look that up. Right? It's like, oh, you can spread the word, but it can only be in the way that I say it can, under this specific sect of these Christians. How does that sound? There's walking by faith and not by sight, and then there's asking people to do stupid things. Like trying to explain your taxes to a psychologist. Oh, I'm sorry, not a real psychologist. It was a nurse that was taking notes for the psychiatrist. medical professional. I did get a confirmation email though from my current doctor, which is nice because I did recently update my insurance. So it was nice to see that little confirmation in the mail. So, yeah, I know. Isn't it funny? I guess some people must have seen my post that was like, because I said I was looking for a moderator. I think that's what happened, is probably there were some trolls that saw that, and so they hopped on here thinking I would accidentally add them as a moderator during this chat. Oh dear. So yeah, reunited, and it feels so good, collective, again. You might be gardening, you might be planting right now. You're doing things, and especially, with the economic conditions, all this stuff, it might be a good idea. A little extra self-sufficiency never hurt nobody. Actually, where I was at, it looked like they had a little plot outside where they had like at least 4 raised beds. So that's popular. People do those raised beds versus in the ground, right? Otherwise, you're supposed to call, right? Call Julie, right? Hierophant. Use your brain. Oh, I don't know where we should put it. Let's just start digging. No. Okay. This is Taurus as well. So, often they say, kind of planting by like Mother's Day, which is usually like second weekend in May. Sagittarius as well. Sagittarius was kind of coming through the other day, so some of you guys could have Sagittarius on your chart as well. But if you are, again, tending to these things, give yourself time, give yourself patience. Maybe for some of you, this is the first time getting out and exploring these ways, right? And it's like you're gonna get your many returns of the day, right? If you just keep at it, right? Sometimes it's like planting, right? It's like it's gonna be months perhaps until you see that final result, right? That doesn't mean that you give up, right? You try and keep it in balance through the season. Okay, so this message might be specific to some farmers as well. And a lot of you are, I know, there were dudes when I was in high school that helped, at their farms and stuff. Like they weren't just spoiled rich kids, rich farm kids or whatever. They actually worked and had chores and did stuff, right? And some of these kids were like, okay, so, like we have our phones today. We were just getting computers and stuff. They would be watching like the doctor. And I'd be like, it's like, oh my God, are you like my mother? That's what my mom does, is watches the Weather Channel, right? But what they're doing, they were studying. Okay, but at the same time, it's like you got to use your intuition, right? Sometimes it's like, well, they said it was supposed to do this today, but I don't know. You know what I mean? And like you end up not going somewhere, and then like an hour later it starts storming. You're like, well, I guess we weren't meant to go, right? Sometimes there's just that general knowing, that gnawing, that feeling. Sometimes for people, it's a gut feeling, right? Might be getting affected in your solar plexus as well. Some fresh air, some walks will help that, right? But don't ignore that just because, it's somebody you worked with before. It's somebody who knows your family and they've done business together before. Just don't ignore these feelings, because you have a right to reassess when, your name's on the dotted line, because trust me, nobody else. Okay, it's about your name on the dotted line. Okay, so Anyway, already at 35 minutes, you guys. Wow. I was planning on doing, that is what was so weird. I was planning on doing Celtic Cross for you guys, but it kind of turned into a pretty long reading on this anyway, and I don't want to go the full hour today. So, hello, Dr. Love from India. One one of my doctors growing up was an Indian male, and he was a very good doctor, and he treated a lot of people in the community. He was always so funny too, because he would joke with my mother and he'd say, "You're a very good mother because you only bring her here when she's sick." She wasn't running me to the doctor like some of these moms do for like a hangnail or a little sniffle or whatever, right? Anyway, so Karan, is it Karan or Karan? Sing. I know how to sing. Yeah, if you guys like some music, you can go check out my Ophelia's Band channel. I will post that song, though. I need to look up the name of the group. But yeah, I think the name of the song is The Walker. But it's just like that kind of happy little, and it's kind of like in the video, it's just like, psh, not today, psh, not today. Like, psh, we're going for it, man. What else is there to do? All right. So, this has been your last from an official Gen Xer. Okay. Right. Unsupervised. Oh my God. What are we going to do? The kids are all right. Okay. Okay, guys, thanks for joining the chat today, the folks who still made it to the end of the chat anyway. And thank you for the likes. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber to like the video. And, some of this full moon where it's like, we made it, they didn't, oh well, they got to deal with their consequences now, don't they? Everybody has consequences. I mean, nobody is free from consequence. The level and type of consequence obviously varies. Your mileage may vary. I recommended a couple plumbing companies to somebody on my Facebook, and somebody responded about one of them being like, "Oh, that's like the worst choice, blah, blah, blah." And I just said, I had good experiences with both. Now, what I had done versus maybe what this other person had done, I have no idea what they were hired for. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they had a full-scale bathroom remodel going on and it took longer than they wanted. I mean, I don't know. Not my business. So that's what I said. Look, I had good experience with both. Obviously, your mileage may vary. So, and anyone can have a bad day as well. It's just when it gets into that repetitive cycle, right, collective, that's when you're like, I'm not sticking around for this dog and pony show, right? I've seen this one before. Burp, right? I can't remember if it was derp or burp. He's more of a derp. Is what engineers can be quite funny. And that's another thing too, collective. It's like, how people just want, children should be seen, not heard. And some of them are the turn out to be goddamn holy terrors later, right? Oh yeah, they're so innocent. I don't think so. right? So keep it a buck. For some of you, you might even be getting a bit of a refund on your taxes, right? Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? You know, sometimes it is what it is. So, anyway, I'm gonna leave you guys there. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.